Welcome back to the channel, YouTube. I know it's been a little while since I posted a video. I've been super busy. As you can see, the weather's beautiful. The summertime is here. I've been out enjoying these cars. I haven't been doing a whole lot of work on them. I believe the brakes were probably the last thing I've done to the Lamborghini. Last video I made. I've just been out enjoying the cars. I've been a little bit lazy, admittedly. I'm a bit of an introvert. Those of you that know me know that. So for me to do videos about every little thing I do really isn't my nature. I do enjoy doing these, but it's super time consuming, so I struggle with it a little bit. I have been out enjoying the cars though, on top of working crazy long hours, things like that. So back to a video. Have had the Chevelle out quite a bit lately. A little bit more garage art. Picked up a few awards at some shows lately, so I've had that out a little bit, and we're packing the mileage back on the Lamborghini as well. In fact, the reason I got it out here, been doing some detailing on it today, doing the big exotic Italian themed exotic show at Redmond Town Center this weekend. Wife and I are actually turning it into a date night weekend. Super excited about it. She doesn't usually get to participate in the car stuff with me very much, so we're gonna go out to dinner. We're staying at a hotel up there for a couple nights at the Marriott. Should be a really good time. I'll try and do a better job at recording than I did even last year. Like I said, I'm not super outgoing. The video things, unless I'm doing maintenance or how-to videos, I'm a little better at those, I guess, than doing the talking. I am not a DDE. So anyway, I want to do the video today. I'm a little bit late to the show. I wanted to talk about the first year of ownership with a Gallardo. I've seen a lot of videos out there. People like to show what it cost me to own this car for a year. What issues or problems have you run into in the last year? So I was kind of going to go over that with the Lamborghini. It's been a year and 4 months, so I'm a little bit late to the game. But I've got receipts for everything I've done and talked about the problems, issues, things I knew were coming with the car, and things that kind of surprised me and caught me off guard. So those of you that have followed the channel for a while, since I've owned the car, any of the other vehicles I own, you know I do all my own maintenance. And knock on wood, I have yet to have the Lamborghini into a shop yet myself. Keep in mind, everything that I will show you is all maintenance related items that I did and things that basically I wanted to do to the car just to get the car where I wanted it to be. Knock on wood, I haven't had any big issues with the car. I haven't had any reason to get it in the shop. Not that there haven't been little things to go awry here and there, some of which I have yet to even deal with just because I got all winter to do that. I've limited to 2 or 3 months to really drive and enjoy this car in the sunshine. And those things don't prevent the drivability of the car right now. So we're just gonna enjoy it this summer, and I'll deal with those things again this winter. Odds are I'll make videos about it, document it as I go. Anyway, the key to all the DIY maintenance, if you ask me, is to create some sort of folder. Track everything as good as you can. Obviously, I've got the YouTube videos I've done of all the maintenance, good documentation, walking myself through it. I create a binder for each vehicle. I've got all the receipts, all the records, everything from the previous owner in here. Carfax report is in here. All my piles of receipts, which I do need to organize a little bit better. So I've got all the maintenance history of this car and everything that goes along with it. Some of that's in here as well. And it hasn't been cheap. Granted, like I said, some of the stuff that I've done, or most of the stuff that I've done actually, didn't have to be done. In my mind it did, but it wasn't, necessary. So yeah, the key is, especially with these older cars, find something that's been at least halfway maintained and got decent records. And ironically, not all of these receipts or all of the independent shop stuff posts up in the Carfax. So don't put all your weight in a vehicle's Carfax report either. So that's kind of what I got going with that. So we'll sit down, I'll go through the receipts with you, kind of talk about it a little bit. So first off, I want to talk a little bit about the experience of owning this car, because it's kind of been mind-blowing to me. For those of you who haven't followed the story or don't know me, one of the reasons I bought the car is I lost my little sister 7 years ago. I've got 2 small children of my own. I've got a granddaughter, an adult daughter. I help raise my niece and nephew. My plate is full. It really changed the way that I look at life, the way that I look at spending money going through that experience. So over that last 7 years, I've kind of, every day is a gift. I look at it that way. I pursue each and every day trying to achieve your dreams. Tomorrow isn't promised. I'm not a pretentious, rich individual. Unfortunately, I learned that a car like this, you are perceived like that. That's taken a little bit of adjusting for sure. And sometimes I gotta say I'm still not adjusted to that. That's not my mindset at all. I just love cars. I love cool cars. I love chasing childhood dreams and things like that. The Sandrail was a big childhood dream of mine. If you guys have been around that long to see the LS rail stuff, I used to watch those as a little kid, with my family and my sister, and someday wanted to own one. I bought one when I could afford it. We enjoyed that for several years, and then I bought this car, sold all that stuff off to pursue this dream. As that 80s, 90 kid, I had the Diablos, the Countach posters on the wall, and this is my way of achieving that dream. This is, yes, an entry-level exotic car. People like to throw that out at you a lot. Oh, it's just a Gallardo. It's just a Gallardo. Yeah, it's a 20-year-old car. That doesn't bother me. If you haven't seen the Chevelle and the other stuff, I'm into the older cars. I think that stuff's cool. I'm able to tinker with those a little bit more. And bottom line, like I said, I am not rich. I can't afford a Huracan and a Aventador. I don't make that kind of money. It doesn't hurt my feelings to admit that. I'm proud to be able to achieve this level of the dream that I can afford to achieve. So that's what I'm working with, and I'm enjoying it for now. I don't know how long this will last. Maybe a while. Maybe I'll trade it to keep something else or get something else. I don't know. At this point, I'm having a good time with the car, and I'm enjoying it. And that has been the best part of owning this car, is getting to enjoy it, share it with everyone. I don't geographically live in an area where these things are exactly abundant. You will see the occasional Huracan, Gallardo, McLaren, maybe a Ferrari 430, 360, something like that running around. It is pretty rare. So to drive this thing around town like I do, it's viewed like celebrity status. You will, especially if you were like me, you are an introvert, you will be forced to come out of your shell when you own a car like this. Something as simple as going to the gas station to fuel up can turn into a 20-minute ordeal. Everybody wants to come over and chat with you about the car. They want to take photos of it. It's half the fun of the ownership, even as an introvert, is getting to share this car with other people that appreciate them for what they are, that don't hate you for them or look at you as that rich, pretentious jerk. I let kids sit in this thing, climb in and out of it, treat it like a bit of a jungle gym. Not that I'm not protective of it, don't get me wrong, but we use the car. I love sharing it with people. Go to the car shows and things like that, chat with people all about it, let people take photos with it. I'll let them sit in it and take photos. I'm sure it's all over Instagram feeds and Facebook. You make people's day, you see the smile on their face, and that's as much of enjoyment to me as it is having or driving the car myself. So like I said, having this car, driving this car, is a bit of an experience, not just the sounds and the feel and the enjoyment of the car, but everyone around you, most people giving you a thumbs up. You'll see cell phones hanging out the window, people recording you. If you're not in the mood to be social, keep the windows up, keep to yourself, because the car itself just draws a ton of attention. Most of it, 90% of it, I gotta say, is good. Unfortunately, not all of it is. And that's the part that, as a car guy, just trying to achieve that childhood dream and enjoying cool cars, I didn't see coming. I guess I just didn't even think about it. It caught me off guard. So the first time I was driving down the road and you get people just randomly flipping you off, giving you the bird for no reason, or I'll never forget the very first time my wife and I got to take the car out together on a nice sunny day for a little bit of a road trip. Had some guy just tailgating us like he was trying to push us and ram us off the road. Just people being jerks for no real reason. If you follow the channel, you've seen I've taken the car out to our local cruise night. I meet up with a couple other exotics down there, and for the most part the car is really well received. I'll do a lap or two. It becomes such a traffic jam. I'll inevitably park the car, just kind of watch the show and show off the car. There's bars and restaurants down there, so inevitably the alcohol's flowing a little bit. Last time I had my 8-year-old son with me, the windows are down, so it's a hot day, and there are a couple people flipping us off and hollering some inappropriate things and swear words, and it was really kind of heartbreaking. Not for me. I could care less what people think of me at all. I don't do what I do for them. This is for me, for my family, and for my personal enjoyment. I don't do it for anyone else. But I remember looking over at my son in the passenger seat, and he just kind of had this just bewildered and concerned look on his face and just said, "Daddy, why are they saying that to us?" And it was just like a punch to the gut, and I felt like my heart was ripped out of my chest at that moment. And I just kind of had to tell my son, look, man, unfortunately, bullies never grow up. And it's true, they're out there. And I don't know if it's misery with their own life, if they hate to see someone achieve something that they don't understand how to achieve themselves. I really don't know. But bottom line, if you're in the market for something like this, you can expect it to happen. It doesn't matter if it's a $100,000 car or a several $100,000 car. Most people don't know the difference. 90% of the public you talk to or see out there don't know if this is a 20-year-old car or if it's 2 years old. They have no idea what year these things are. And that is part of the cool thing about a Lamborghini. You can tell no matter what year it is, it's a Lamborghini. There's no doubt about what these cars are, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, most people have absolutely no idea. So expect the good and the bad, because you're gonna get it. The other thing I want to touch on, this is a 20-year-old exotic car. It's not a slouch. 500 horsepower, 8,000 RPM redline. It sings. It'll go fast when you want it to go fast. That being said, it's not a race car. Technology has come a long ways in 20 years. There are plenty of faster cars out there on the market if that's what you're looking for. High torque motors, all that kind of stuff. It didn't catch me by surprise because I deal with it a lot in the Chevelle anytime I take this thing out. But the other thing that you can expect is anyone and everyone wants to try to race you. Half the time I'm not even paying attention, so I don't even get it. I'm out with my kid, I'm on a date night cruising with my wife, I'm just enjoying the car. It's the last thing I'm looking for or expecting. I didn't buy the car to race it. I bought it for the driving experience. It doesn't have to be the fastest thing in the world to have fun driving this car. The way that E-gear rev matches on the downshifts, the way that you can downshift and then take off at 40 miles an hour. Listen to that thing scream through that fab speed exhaust. That single disc clutch sets you back in your seat, and sport mode shifts are like a punch in the chest. It's an enjoyable experience when you can get out and just drive these cars and enjoy it. Stop and go traffic sucks. I hate getting stopped in traffic with this thing. Seems like every time I take it out, busier times a day, I end up in stop and go traffic. It's just not what the car was meant for, and it's not the most exciting way to enjoy the car. But I shy away from it. I don't have to impress anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do with the car. In fact, I left the cruise just last month, and the car really wasn't warmed up, so I was probably on it a little bit harder than I should have been, given the fact it wasn't really warmed up. But just a few blocks down the road from where I left, you enter on a freeway on-ramp, and it is a nice, beautifully long banking on-ramp. You're really able to get on it for quite a ways before you even start merging onto the freeway. You're going up a hill, there's multiple lanes. I was on it pretty good with the windows down because I just love to hear that fab speed exhaust scream at 8,000 RPMs. It's absolute music to my ears. As you guys know, if you've driven one of these, visibility is kind of crap. It's not the best, most visible car. At some point, I finally noticed that there was one of these brand new Supras riding my rear. I think he thought we were racing. He jumps over into the next lane and goes blowing around me, and I didn't even know he was there. I'm just enjoying the car and listening to it, and this guy's having to have an all-out race. So you can expect that. Don't be surprised by it. I certainly wasn't. You don't have to cater to him. You're in a Lamborghini. You're better than that. All right, guys, so with personal experiences out of the way and being discussed, let's dig into what this thing has cost. What kind of money have I sunk into this car over the last year? We'll just try and start going through the pile of receipts that I've got. Like I said, it hasn't exactly been cheap, but keep in mind it wasn't all 100% necessary expenditure. One of the first things I did with the car was put tires on it. That cost me, I got a warranty with the tires and whatnot. It was $1,900 and some change out the door for all 4 new tires. We put the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on it. If you've seen the videos back when I first bought the car, the tires were a little bit worn on the outer edge. They'd obviously had some hard cornering and whatnot, but they weren't really wore out, but they were 10 years old. It was just time to replace the tires. If nothing else, just peace of mind. So we got the new tires on the car. At that time, I had the wheels powder coated as well, with just a nice gloss black finish on them. There was a little bit of curb rash, nothing real bad on a couple of them here. They got that repaired for me. If you guys remember back or look back at the video I did on that, somebody had sprayed these things with that peel coating garbage. You'd spray all over your Honda or something. It had runs all down the back sides of the wheels and things like that. It drove me absolutely nuts. I can't believe somebody did that to a car like this. It looked like crap. See the runs all over the back side of the wheels. So we swapped those out as well. I got them all powder coated, freshened up. They look like new wheels for a fraction of the price. I had $550 into the powder coating of all the wheels and the lug nuts, and that was a pretty decent deal as well. There, the most recent thing I did, like I said, it was probably the last video I did, I believe, was I put all new brakes, all new rotors and pads on the car. The calipers used to be silver. I painted them to body match the car, as you can see. Went with the EBC red stuff, ceramic pads. The brake dust on this car was absolutely driving me nuts. Unfortunately, I don't have enough mileage on the car still to really speak of that. These EBC ceramic pads can take a little while to get through the break-in procedure. I don't really believe I've gotten to that point, so I'm still getting a bit of dust from that break-in layer off of these things. You kind of see it pack in there in the back of the wheel. It just drives my OCD nuts. But anyway, we went the EBC red stuff pads and the gyro disc rotors, which are slightly larger diameter on the front. So that's cool. I stuck with the steel. The carbon ceramics are just not in my budget, and for the way that I drive this car, completely unnecessary. And those were roughly $2,500 for the full set of rotors. So I got about $3,000 into a complete brake job. That does not include the paint and whatnot for the rotors. That cost me roughly a couple $100. I really didn't track that one at all. Other than that, we've done back to the maintenance stuff. I did a power steering fluid flush, which is located behind this panel here, so I really can't show you the reservoir. That wasn't expensive, it wasn't difficult. We drained it, refilled it, purged it, all that. It was roughly $21 for that. Just did my first oil change on the car because it had a fresh one when I'd first bought the car. So I got, you know, a genuine Lamborghini AMH exotics there. Got all the receipts, like I said. Oil filter, got the crush washers. I'm running AMSOIL in it, and that was a total of $218 for the first oil change. Obviously, these are all DIY prices. This is just the material prices that I'm giving you. One of the things I really wanted to do for the car, it's one of the reasons I bought a pre-LP Gallardo, is these cars sound absolutely incredible opened up, like an F1 car. So this past fall, I tore into the car. We ripped out the factory catalytic converters, which, as a lot of you guys know, can be problematic. I had picked up a used set of Autopilot exotic test pipes for $500. I don't even know if they had ever been used. You can kind of see them down in there. The heat wrap, everything was in immaculate condition. They were clean inside. I mean, it was a deal because they sell for roughly $1,100, I believe. And then on top of that, we put that beautiful Fab Speed X-Pipe, Super Sport X-Pipe exhaust system in there. And that was to the tune of just under $3,400 for that. And I don't have a regret one about that. That sounds absolutely amazing. It's 6,000 to 8,000 RPM with that thing. It just sings. Gets all sorts of attention. Back to the maintenance side. We replaced the coils with all NGK coils, as well as the NGK laser platinum spark plugs. The coils were roughly $400, and we got about $125 into the plugs, since there are 10 of each of those. Not a difficult job. I did a video of all of this maintenance stuff if any of you guys need to see that stuff at all. The other thing I bought from AMH Exotics, which, by the way, if you need anything, reach out to Glenn Huffman, AMH Exotics. Super great guy to deal with. Genuine stuff. He's got it all for me quickly and better prices than I found most other places. Jason Bertman is another awesome source for parts, as anybody that has one of these cars has learned. So one of the other things I did was replace that rear bumper skeleton to the tune of $650 while I had everything apart. You know, this whole bumper cover had to come off to access the exhaust system. These are notorious for the little mounting tabs busting off. if you're looking at one of these cars, see if these things are loose and wiggle a little bit. It's a surefire sign that the bumper skeleton is busted. They get brittle. They're just made of plastic. They're right here by the exhaust. This has had 20 years of heat saturation and cooling, and that plastic becomes absolutely brittle. That thing absolutely crumbled, if you saw that video, as soon as I pulled things apart here. And I didn't want to lose, you know, an exhaust tip or lose a grill. They're not exactly cheap to replace, so it was just important to take care of that while I had it all apart. Not a super huge job, a bit labor intensive, but not rocket science by any means. The next expense, I spent like $41 and some change on some carbon fiber valve stem caps. Pretty cool little guys, overkill for sure, but just one of those little details while I was powder coating the wheels, putting new tires on. Hey, why not, right? They look cool. And what was this one? The brake fluid. I went ahead and flushed the brake fluid, obviously, since I did a brake job, run the AMSOIL .4 racing brake fluid in it. Cost me roughly $25 to flush the brake fluid. As you know, that stuff ages. You don't want to leave brake fluid sitting in a car for a long period of time. Stuff can absorb moisture and turn to algae, and then it inevitably ends up corroding. Sorry about the noise. Your pistons and calipers, your bleeders and things from the inside can create problems that you can avoid if you just flush inexpensive fluid. One of the other things I first did to the car was I replaced the floor mats with these custom Alcantara and orange floor mats to match the car, and these things were stupid expensive, if you ask me. $700 or just under $700 for those floor mats, but they make the interior, as far as I'm concerned, these early model Gallardos were a little bit lacking as far as the interior goes. You know, I've got the orange stitch on the black leather, which is cool. A few little carbon pieces, not the major in here, but that really ties it in and makes it pop, if you ask me. One of the other things I intend to do, just hadn't got to yet, I'm gonna do a carbon and orange stitch steering wheel or something like that to kind of make this pop as well. You know, a lot of the newer ones had the LP cars had the diamond stitch and some different options. Maybe someday in the future, I don't know, we'll see where I go with things, but just some little touches like that can really make the interior pop. Aesthetically, I got the windows tinted, did a ceramic tint on the car. You guys can see it's a 15% ceramic all around the car. That was like $336, I believe. They didn't do the windshield for me. I still need to try and get something done. I'm getting old, my night vision sucks, so I'm concerned about adding a tint. I was hoping for more of just a UV protectant of some sort, because the dash for a 20-year-old car is immaculate. If you're looking for a car, look at these. Some of these vents, the leather starts to curl and pull away. The centerpiece will curl up on you. I looked at some that were just horrendous. This is in impeccable condition. I would really like to keep it that way. So inevitably, I may put a 70% ceramic tint or something on the windshield just to help protect the interior, if for nothing else. Next item to be installed was a sprint booster from Bertman Industries for the tune of $289.99. Basically, it's kind of like similar to the pedal commander. Installs down here. You've got a control unit. You can adjust here. You can turn it off. You got what, sport, race mode, whatever they are. You can adjust it 1 through 9. Speeds up that drive-by-wire system. These cars have a real significant delay from the time you hit that throttle till the time things finally start taking off. It really changes the driving experience of the Gallardo. Doesn't add any more power or anything like that, but I don't know that I could drive the car without it at this point. The next item of interest was the fuel filters. I changed the fuel filters. I did a video of this if you're interested in saving some money. I used some Bosch filters that I found. The part number is also posted in that video. The tune of about $40 to change the fuel filters on this car versus $150 to $200 a piece for the genuine Lamborghini filters. And I have had 0 issues over the last year. Those, no leaks, no issues. They've worked just flawlessly. Carbon fiber side skirts. These are a Chinese version. They are not perfect. They were roughly $600 for the pair. I added those as well, if nothing else, just to keep some road debris and rock chips down, and I like the look of them. One of the other things I did was change the cabin air filters. I just ordered some generic off of eBay for like just under $17. Little charcoal cabin air filters. There's 2 of them. I did a video on that as well because I hadn't seen anyone else that had done a video on that. And I learned why after I did it, because those things are absolutely buried up underneath all of this and in the sun. You kind of got to contort yourself and utilize ET fingers to get up there and get at those. But it is a possible job, and from the research I had done, a little bit of a crazy expensive job that I was able to do for roughly $17. I replaced the air filters as well, the engine air filters, for $156 with the BMC reusable or cleanable air filters. Obviously you can't really see them, but they are buried under here each, and kind of the red there. Anyway, actually made a world of difference as far as sound. Really opened up the airflow to the intakes, and you hit that throttle with the window down, you can just hear it sucking air. That was a worthwhile upgrade, I believe. The air filters were old and needed replaced anyway, so it was just time. Tune of $66. I picked them up off of eBay. I replaced the window switch covers. You guys know, in the earlier model Gallardos, these are just plastic and they're good at showing wear really bad, so I replaced them with these little Brock aluminum switches. Look a lot better if you ask me, especially since the other ones wore out. You know, one of the other things I replaced, the car came with a spare key. I did have 2 keys with the car, however only one of them worked. So for the tune of $20, I replaced a battery in the other one and a missing emblem as well. That was just off of a seller on eBay. It's not holding up particularly well, especially considering the amount that I use this key. It's scuffing off a little bit, but I was able to program it, like I said, and get it working. So now I've got 2 workable keys for the car, and I guess even scuffed up, it looks better than a completely missing emblem. So that's what that expense was. Next up was to change the front and rear differential fluids. I ordered proper crush washers from Scuderia Parts. I run an AMSOIL fluid in both the front and the rear. Rear had a little bit grown, which to a degree is normal, but fresh fluid and too much noise is not normal. And fresh fluid change really quieted things down, functioning now as it should. That was total roughly to the tune of $150. Not a large expense by any means. Exotic Auto Recycling, I picked it up off of eBay. I bought a spare, or not necessarily spare, but a replacement lug bolt. It came with one random off the wall lug bolt that didn't match the others, just something somebody threw on the car. So I wanted them all to match, so I went ahead and picked one up and got that swapped out to match. The other notorious issue I addressed was the rear view mirror. I picked up off of eBay out of a wrecking yard for $50. An Audi A4 rear view mirror. Those fluid filled mirrors in the early Gallardos were notorious for leaking. When I picked this one up, I think the bottom half inch or so was reflective. Other than that, it just was cloudy. It had leaked out of there. And of course, if that acidic fluid, chemical, whatever's in there leaks out over the years, it can land on your radio and damage your other components down here. So just snipped the wires on that, popped it in with just a standard Audi unit, and we got that little problem solved. So other than that, I know there are some other smaller things that probably add up to a couple $100 that I didn't keep receipts for. I replaced the mirror control switch with the Audi knob just because it matches the Brock switches. I did a whole video. I purchased an HVAC control unit from an Audi to replace a worn out on-off button. If you guys don't know, most of these buttons are all the same. I think I paid like $60 for that. Little odds and ends stuff. Like I said, I know I didn't keep receipts for the paint and things that I purchased to freshen up the calipers. So you could easily add another couple $100 on, just little random stuff. Other than that, the other big expense and the questions that get asked often is insurance. And I don't want to get super in depth with insurance. I'm not an expert in that field by any means. But it's a loaded question. You'll see people post in forums all the time, who's the go-to for insurance? What are you guys paying? The problem is there's so many variables. It's different for everyone. Every state has different minimums and things like that. Washington State here in particular has exceptionally low state minimums. if I were carrying the minimum insurance or somebody hits me with minimum, it will not cover the expense of this car or any modern truck or SUV at this point with the prices of things in this day and age. So I have roughly triple the state minimums to cover this car and all the other stuff that we've got. You know, we own homes, lots of cars and other toys, so I need to be well covered. So it's costing me roughly $2,000 a year through USAA to insure the car. I am able to save a little bit during the winter months. I can put the car in storage when it's locked up in here, and that will save a little bit when I know the weather's junk and I'm not driving the car at all. Hagerty was able to save me a little bit, but they had worse coverage and they had some different, mileage restrictions and things like that. So you'll run into a lot of different things like that when you're searching for insurance. So that, like I said, it's a bit of a loaded question just because of all the variables. Quick story about that. A guy had a Ferrari California, a little old lady, made a lane change on the highway, sideswiped him, totaled out the car. She had state minimum coverage in their state. It did not cover the value, the full value of the Ferrari. So, unfortunately, he had to turn it into his insurance because, like me, he was well covered. Point being, they got what they could out of her insurance, maxed out the coverage, and then they went after her personally for the rest of that. So it is important to have good coverage. Here in the great state of Washington, it cost me roughly $85 to license the vehicle, which surprisingly isn't a whole lot more than the wife's Camry, my truck, or any of the other vehicles that I have. There's certain areas within the state here that it would cost you significantly more. Luckily, I live in an area that does not. Sorry about that, guys. My battery died on me there. So anyway, as I was saying, with insurance, licensing tied in, the total cost over the last year was $15,328 into the vehicle. So, like I said, it hasn't been cheap, but not everything was 100% necessary either. As you guys know, doing my own maintenance, I put date, mileage on absolutely everything that I do to track it as well, which is just as important for a potential future sale as it is for my own recollection, because even though I think I can remember those things, I absolutely cannot. Anyway, guys, to sum this up, it's been a super enjoyable and a mostly positive experience. I'd be curious to hear anybody else's experiences in their ownership of a 20-year-old exotic car, or even the 2013s are starting to age at this point. I'd be curious to see and hear others' experiences. Obviously, finding a car that's been taken care of and not thrashed on is going to be the night and day difference. You could be asking for problems. That being said, it's a 20-year-old car. Plastic, rubber, things get brittle. You can expect silly little things like plastic motors in your mirror to crap out, or things are going to happen. If you are looking for a car like this and you're out shopping, you're doing research, you will find that there is a lot of misinformation out there about the early Gallardos. I think they got a bit of a bad rap, and the things that I've heard or had seen out there, or that had tried to scare me away when I was looking to purchase, I have not personally found to be true. There's like I said, a lot of just false and misinformation out there. It's been a very positive experience. Things been mechanically sound. Like I said, I have not had any real issues or major malfunctions to speak of. I do personally, I feel that they're an excellent value for the money right now, and I'll be curious to see what the future holds with these cars. As they become collector car status, things as far as Lamborghini and Ferrari and all the newer cars are going EV, hybrid, things like that. The naturally aspirated motors are going to become a bit of a valuable asset in the near future, I believe, as the next 5-10 years progress. We'll certainly see. Time will tell. They'll never be Countach Diablo status by any means. They were Lamborghini's most mass-produced vehicle at the time, up until the Huracans and the Urus and things like that. Obviously have exceeded those. But as they age and some are destroyed, wrecked, things like that, that won't always be the case. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope maybe somebody out there in the market finds it helpful If you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to comment and share your stories with me as well. I'm always eager to hear those and interact with you guys. I find that enjoyable as well. So anyway, stay tuned, guys. Wife and I, like I said, are heading out this weekend. Should be a whole lot of fun. I'll do a whole nother video about the exotic car show, and hopefully we'll see some really cool stuff out there. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully I can get a few more of these videos posted out for you this summer. I always appreciate those of you that stick with me, and we'll see you guys on the next one.